I'm going to tell you a story about the Idaho Art Lab. 9 years ago, my wife and I had the idea to bring art to our community. And as we started our research, we found that the local artists and the general community wanted a place for the arts, like a community art center. What we've created is so much more. The Idaho Art Lab is a visual art makerspace. Now, makerspace is a term that is widely being used in the tech and creative industry fields. A makerspace is a place that provides tools, equipment, and a space that would otherwise be cost prohibitive. What makes the Idaho Art Lab unique is that we are a makerspace, but we are focused on the visual arts. And we're located in rural Idaho. Now, not a lot of people think about rural Idaho. In fact, with only 7 people per square mile, there's not a lot of people to think about rural Idaho, even if you live there. For those of you not familiar with Idaho, Idaho is shaped like a foot. And Fremont County is kind of the big toe nestled up next to Montana and Wyoming. Limited access to art education has long persisted in all communities, but especially in rural areas like Fremont County. A research paper by Donovan and Brown confirmed that access to art education is made even harder when you have to deal with lack of good transportation, fewer financial resources, and dealing with unfavorable arts policies. We toured 25 art centers in Colorado before we started the Idaho Art Lab. We wanted to see working models of what we wanted, and we wanted to find best practices of how to run a makerspace. What we found is that you cannot have a huge makerspace in a small town, at least not a for-profit model. We had to become a not-for-profit in order to succeed. We had to give up control in order to gain the leverage from the community. The Idaho Art Lab, if we paid our volunteers and included our overhead, would be a $250,000 a year company. We do all of this on about 1/10 of that. It's like the old stone soup folktale, where we supply a pot, a stone, and some water, and the rest of the community brings up all the rest of the ingredients. And our community response has been wonderful. We found a landlord that helped us get into a building that we could afford. Families started donating their time, their art supplies, and their equipment. Friends started using their connections to get the things we needed, like furniture and electronics. We now have an art lab. We call ourselves the Idaho Art Lab for a few reasons. The first reason is we want people to recognize the relationship between art and science. And when we nurture imagination and creativity, we're actually nurturing curiosity. Art as a motivator is a great way to introduce the sciences. The simple clay project can introduce earth science, geology, physics, and chemistry. The second reason we call ourselves the lab is because the lab's where you go for the experimentation, the fun hands-on learning and exploration. We want the learning environment of a lab. And we use the term makerspace to define what we are. We are a building packed with equipment for 22 different art mediums. Over the years, we've seen many great things happen at the Idaho Art Lab. We've seen art connect the old with the young. We've seen art change a community, and we've seen art save lives. Teaching the next generation is probably the greatest service that we offer. Do you remember what it's like to learn something new? Do you remember that aha moment of discovery? That sense of, wow, I did this. That sense of satisfaction, The Idaho Art Lab is full of those moments with our workshops and our after-school art classes. A friend of ours once told us that if you know something and don't teach that to somebody else before you die, that knowledge dies with you. And we've heard it put another way: you lose what you fail to nurture. And it doesn't take but one generation for you to not even realize what you've lost. How do you know if you're good at art if you've never had the chance to try art? The Idaho Art Lab's not just after-school art classes for kids. We also partner with our local parent-teacher organizations for art field trips. And we've helped bring art curriculum to 3 elementary schools. Time and time again, we've had art teachers come to us and tell us that they have students who struggle in almost all of their daily studies, but they excel and come to life in art class. Again, how do you know if you're good at art unless you've had the chance to try? But we're not just for kids. We like to say, from K to gray. The Idaho Art Lab is a place for the young to learn from the old. And it's a place for the old to learn from the young. Art is for everybody. We all need those aha moments of discovery. Art makes us feel good. The Idaho Art Lab benefits more than just those who participate. We also benefit the greater community in projects like city beautification. The chief of police came to us because of a graffiti and vandalism problem in one of the local parks. Now, this park is located on an island that has a concrete retaining wall along the north side. And this concrete wall is a constant target for vandalism. So we partnered with the owner of the wall, the city of St. Anthony, and local teens to create a mural project. It took 5 years to complete, 28 murals. And each mural has a special story of what the river means to that child. It could be fishing with a grandfather, floating the river in tubes with your best friend, or the rich history of the Native Americans. Since completion of the murals in 2015, there has been no graffiti vandalism in the entire park. The energy of the park has changed. And the lesson that these artists learned is that changing the world may seem like a big idea and impossible, but you do have the power to change your world. You have the power to make a difference and follow your dreams. We need to follow our dreams and make our dreams come true. And the Idaho Art Lab is the type of dream that you put your heart and soul into. But that's easy to do when you do it with love. We still struggle financially, and when we feel we can't do it, something happens. Something happens to renew our hope and recenter us and feed our passion. It could be that random, timely donation that solves the immediate deficit. Or it could be that kid that looks up from his artwork with a sense of wonder and amazement. Or it could be someone telling us that they were contemplating suicide before they found the lab. This has happened several times. To have somebody tell you that the only thing keeping them hanging on was knowing that they had friends at the lab. We do it for love. Art gives us purpose. Art gives us community. And when we embrace our humanities, we are embracing what it is to be human. All together, we did it. We created a visual art makerspace in a rural town. A makerspace that provides equipment and knowledge that would otherwise be unavailable. And our success is not measured in profit. Our success is measured in quality education, creating a sense of community, and saving lives. The Idaho Art Lab is a smile factory. So put some frill in your skill. Put some wow in your know-how. Put a smile in your lifestyle. Art is what we do. But this is why we do it.